Alright, hey guys, and welcome back to another video. I am the Twisted Jedi, and in today's video, we are going to be doing another hero concept. You guys have been absolutely loving this series, and today we are going to be focusing on Asajj Ventress. Now, if you haven't seen the last video in this series, I did do Ahsoka Tano, so I will leave a link down in the description to that one, as well as a couple of other hero concepts as well, if you guys want to check it out after this video. Now, if you do enjoy this type of videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more in the future, because I have a bunch more that I'm going to be doing as I get time to do them over the coming weeks. Now, what we're going to go over today is some concept art from a friend of mine, Jake Henny, as well as all the details that I think Asajj Ventress would come with in terms of health, regen pool, appearances, and of course abilities and star cards that I think could work for her and be effective in Battlefront 2. So jumping right into it, I think Asajj Ventress should have 650 health. This puts her on par with Ahsoka that I did in the last episode. These two are pretty good counterparts, so I think they should be pretty evenly balanced between the two of them. So 650 health is where she's going to be at, and I think a 300 health regen pool is where she should be as well. I think this is a pretty good spot. She is a very talented assassin, so that regen pool is lower than someone like Anakin Skywalker, who is going to be an absolute tank, who has 350, but 300 is still very good considering she has low health. Her movement style is going to be fast and acrobatic. Obviously, we know this from the Clone Wars series. She's very agile, similar to Ahsoka again, and her movements should absolutely reflect this. I see her running and flipping around the battlefront like Ahsoka would, like I mentioned in the concept video from her. I think they're going to be very similar in terms of play style, so I think this is a good way to start her off with her movements. In terms of appearances, I've come up with just two standard ones. So there's her base appearance, which of course we see most of the time in the Clone Wars series, and then there's also going to be the hooded Nightsister appearance, which I'll pop a picture of up on screen for both of these appearances so you guys can check them out. But if you didn't know, this is where she is on, I believe it's Dathomir in the Clone Wars series. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it has been a while since I've watched the Clone Wars series, but I will leave a picture up on screen for you guys. Now, obviously her weapon of choice is going to be her dual red lightsabers with the curved hilts. We know these are given to her by Count Dooku, so I definitely think that's the way to go. It makes sense. It's the only weapon we really ever see her use, so I think that's where it's going to be for this one. She's often 2 versus 1 in the Clone Wars, so she takes on 2 enemies at the same time. She's a very skilled duelist with lightsabers. She takes on Obi-Wan and Anakin at the same time, as well as Ahsoka and Luminara Unduli in another episode, so she's very good at defending herself. I think this is something that should be reflected in Battlefront 2, and if she was to be added to the game, I would love to see her with a real strength at deflecting lightsaber attacks. I don't know about blasters. She does deflect them quite well, but I think at the same time she should be better at deflecting lightsabers, because we do see her fend off 2 enemies at the same time, so I think that's going to be really cool if they could add it that way. Now, jumping into the abilities, obviously all this artwork again is provided by Jake. He's offered some base abilities, and I'm just going to give you guys my opinion on what I think of his abilities and how they could be tweaked, or how I think they would work a little bit better, or if I think they're good the way they are. So jumping straight into it, cruel strikes he's got for LB and RB, or L1 and R1, depending on whether you're on Xbox or PlayStation, and obviously PC, you guys have a different command as well. But I think this should either be a left button or right button ability. He says Asajj runs forward, dealing a barrage of lightsaber strikes while flipping over an opponent to continue with Jarkai attacks. Now, I think this is definitely something that could be really cool as an animation, but I think it should definitely be on the left or the right instead of in the middle. With it being in the middle, it just seems a little bit difficult to activate if you're running towards an enemy, so I think it should either be on one side or the other. I don't know if I'd call it cruel strikes, maybe assassin strikes or something like that, because we know Asajj Ventress is of course an assassin, so something like that could be really awesome as well. The next ability is Nightsister Poison Dart, and this is a single shot causes a target to lose their vision for a short period of time. Now, that's what Jake had put down. I made some tweaks to it, and I think that if the target is going to get hit by this, you're obviously going to have to aim it, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to use. If I have to aim an ability like this, I don't think the effect of it should just be that they lose their vision for a short period of time. I think something should be affected by it. So in the episode where she uses this on Count Dooku, he gets, yes, distorted vision, but I think also hallucinations would be something cool to see, like maybe see 2 enemies when there's only 1 there for a short period of time, and if you attack the one that's not actually the real enemy, they just disappear, kind of like Mirage from Apex. You know, when you shoot his decoy, it just vanishes. I think that's something that could be really cool if they could figure out how to do it for Battlefront 2. Now, the last ability is Force Choke. Ventress will use the Force to choke enemies. She can also throw an opponent after the choke. Now, I tweaked this a little bit and I put it down as dual choke. Basically, in the episode where she is taking on Anakin and Obi-Wan at the same time, she gets really angry and she force chokes both of them at the same time, which is extremely powerful. And this is something I wanted to be reflected in that. So she'd pick up multiple enemies in front of her, but she would have to unignite her lightsaber, Basically, this is going to control anyone in the area, but it would work similar to Darth Vader's Force Choke in Battlefront 2015. So if you guys didn't play that, Battlefront 2015, Vader basically choked the enemies that were around him, but didn't lose control of his movement. So he could still move around while force choking his enemies. And I think if you're going to do this, you give it a reduced damage so it doesn't do quite as much as Vader's would. So that's going to be a cool way to use it. You can pretty much pick up enemies and continue moving, or pick them up just long enough for you to close the distance and finish them off with your lightsaber. This would definitely make for a really cool animation and some cool abilities and combinations as well. So they're going to be the 3 abilities for Asajj Ventress. I came up with some basic star cards that I think could help her in her gameplay as well. So I'm going to go through those now. The first one being a health on kill card, which obviously every hero is going to have, unless they decide to make it a passive ability, which they have been talking about, and I really hope happens, because then we can see a combination of different star cards again. The second card is health regen. It seems to be they're putting those on all heroes at this stage, and it's pretty much going to be the norm from now on. The third card is going to be a bonus use of assassin strikes. So I give it 2 charges standard because it is similar to a dash or one of those moves like Luke or Obi-Wan have, and then you can pretty much add a third one to it with that 10% recharge rate extra that you get for getting the bonus dash. So again, another card that's already in the game, but I think could definitely work in this situation. The next star card is going to be one that lets her take less damage overall. We know Yoda has this card and a few other characters in the game, so it's something that would definitely be cool. I think as a 650 health lightsaber hero, you need something like this. Otherwise, you're going to be very fragile and easy to kill. I know I gave her a little bit of a higher health regen pool, but this card would definitely help. It helps massively with Yoda, and I'm sure it will help with a lot of other heroes as well, such as Asajj Ventress. The next card would be a force choke with a larger area of effect. So basically her dual choke ability would have a larger area of effect and could trap more enemies inside it. You guys have seen this. It happens with most of the star cards in the game already that affect anything like this: force push, force choke, those kind of abilities. On top of that, bonus damage if she chokes 2 or more enemies. I think that could be a really good one to use. Maybe even 3 or more. I don't know how you'd sort of figure it out. It depends on the area of effect of the ability. If it's quite large, I would make sure it's 3. If it's a smaller area as a base, then I would give it 2. And the last star card is going to be that the effects of the poison dart last longer. I didn't mention it a minute ago, but I think it should last maybe like 3 to 5 seconds max at a base level, and then you can be able to upgrade it with this star card. Now, I do also think with this ability that if you're going to use it, if you kill the enemy that is affected by the poison dart, you should get an instant refresh on this ability. Count Dooku has this now with one of his abilities, and it definitely works really well. The ability is not so easy to use, and it is quite difficult at times, but I think if you give it that instant refresh, it makes it all the more worth it. And I can imagine using this ability in HVV, it would be very useful at certain times. So instead of using it as a star card, I think that should just be a passive ability, and I think it would work really well for Asajj Ventress in Battlefront 2. Now, I know what most of you are probably thinking, oh, Anakin got a 4th ability, so why not throw a 4th ability in there? Unfortunately, I don't think Asajj Ventress is deserving of a 4th ability, to be honest. Anakin is the chosen one, of course, and his 4th ability is going to be absolutely animalistic. I can't wait to use it. It sounds really, really good, but I don't think Asajj should have one. I think she's just going to stick with 3, and that's what I'm going to do for this video. Anyways, that's probably most of the stuff I have on Asajj. If you guys have any recommendations or suggestions for what she should be like in the game, definitely feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and let's get a discussion going on this topic, because I love talking with you guys and hearing your ideas for different hero concepts, and it also helps me with future videos as well. On top of this, if you want to see another hero concept for someone from Star Wars, definitely drop it down in the comments below and I'll check that out, and I will look to do another one in the future on some of the characters mentioned in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, smash a thumbs up, and I will see you all in the next one. I appreciate all of you watching. I am going to get out of here. I am the Twisted Jedi, and may the Force be with you always.